Adam Newman's life in Genoa City has never been easy, but the tension has never been higher than now when he is once again drawn into the schemes of Victor Newman, a father who always wants to control everything, including his son. Adam has never been truly free, and no matter how hard he tries, he can hardly escape Victor's shadow. This time, the challenge Adam faces is the silent but fierce battle surrounding the purchase of the apartment that Claire and Kyle want to own. A seemingly simple plan but with many hidden meanings, when Victor asks Adam to stop this deal. Adam knows Victor better than anyone, knows that every action he makes is deeply calculated, always hidden behind the desire to control and manipulate every member of the family. In that context, Adam fell into a dilemma when Chelsea, who he had just appointed as COO at Newman Media, went in a different direction, not completely agreeing with Adam's solution and even wanting to interfere and influence his decision. Adam's world became even more chaotic when the nickname Puppet Boy appeared more and more in Genoa City. What was even more bitter was that the person who coined that name was none other than Billy Boy Abbott, who always looked at Adam with a skeptical and contemptuous gaze, but was frighteningly accurate in pointing out the nature of the father-son relationship between Adam and Victor. For Billy, no matter how much he wanted to resist or struggle, Adam would always be a puppet in the hands of Victor, a man who thought he was strong and decisive but could never escape his father's guidance. Although Adam always appeared indifferent on the surface, even opposing Victor many times, he was eventually caught up in the vortex of power that Victor created, where no one was truly free. In Billy's eyes, that was not a humiliation but a harsh truth that needed to be acknowledged, and Billy did not hesitate to repeat it over and over again, causing Adam to be pushed further into a corner. The relationship between Adam and Victor thus became increasingly complicated, not only a conflict between two generations, but also a battle between freedom and control, between the desire to prove himself and the helplessness of not being able to escape the invisible cage of Newman Enterprises. Adam had repeatedly vowed to leave his family, give up everything to start his life over, but deep inside, he still longed for recognition from Victor, longed to be loved and cherished as a worthy son. This makes it easy for him to fall into the psychological trap set by Victor, always being tested for loyalty, always being asked to do things that go against his own wishes. And every time Adam tries to resist, tries to prove that he is different, he discovers that it is all an illusion. All his actions are still within Victor's calculations, and he has never truly controlled his destiny. In that context, the appearance of Chelsea is like a double-edged sword. Chelsea used to be the only person Adam felt he could trust, the person who understood him better than anyone, but now, as COO at Newman Media, Chelsea gradually becomes more pragmatic, starting to use her own position to influence Adam, manipulating him in the way Victor did. Adam painfully realizes that even in love, he cannot truly be himself. Chelsea is no longer the gentle, listening woman, but now a powerful partner, ready to fight to protect her interests, even not hesitating to go against Adam's will if it is beneficial for her. This creates a fierce internal conflict in Adam, wanting to be free and wanting to keep love, but not knowing which is the right path. At the same time, Billy, who has always been nicknamed Billy Boy by Victor himself, suddenly appears as a sympathetic person, even showing signs of wanting to become Adam's ally in the fight against Victor. For Billy, Victor's control of everything in Genoa City is unacceptable, and he realizes that if he wants to overthrow Victor, he needs to cooperate with the person Victor trusts the most, Adam. Billy begins to find ways to approach Adam, evoking the dissatisfaction and deep wounds that Adam has always hidden. He uses sharp words to appeal to Adam's self-esteem, convincing him that only by standing up to Victor can he truly be himself. Gradually, Adam is drawn into Billy's vortex, begins to doubt his own decisions, wondering if he is really a puppet boy, or if he is strong enough to cut all the strings that bind him, and become the one who decides his own life. In the midst of this emotional storm, Adam begins to think about turning his back on Victor, seriously considering for the first time betraying his father to protect himself and what he truly desires. The push from Billy, the disappointment from Chelsea, and the pressure from society make Adam realize that only by daring to face Victor, daring to say no, will he have a chance to become the man he always wanted to be. However, this decision is not easy, because it means losing everything. family, power, and even a position in a family that he has spent his whole life trying to fit into. The following days in Genoa City are filled with extreme tension. All eyes are on Adam, waiting to see what choice he will make. Victor still appears cold and steadfast, but deep down, he is also afraid of losing control over this special son. Chelsea is no longer as warm as before, replaced by pragmatism and calculation. Billy becomes more and more dangerous, willing to drag Adam into the most adventurous games, just to achieve the goal of overthrowing Victor. In that situation, Adam must find his own way, must answer the biggest question: who is he in this endless war? Is he a puppet of Victor, a puppet boy in Billy's eyes, or will he become the man who truly controls his destiny? The choice belongs to Adam, and for the first time in his life, he understands that as long as he dares to overcome fear, dares to face the truth, even if he loses everything, he still has himself left, the most precious thing that no one, including Victor, can take away. There is nothing accidental when it comes to the Newman family, an empire whose every move is in the palm of Victor Newman, the powerful man nicknamed Mustache who always makes everyone wary. Over the years, Victor's power has not diminished but only grown stronger, so that from high-ranking offices to every apartment in the city, he wants to put his mark of control, even on people who seem to be mature and independent like Adam Newman. The story begins when Adam Newman, who has always lived in the shadow of his father's power, this time becomes the center of a new conflict. The incident seems very small. Adam owns a luxury apartment, a symbol of his success and self-determination after many years of being involved in family struggles. But for Victor, nothing of the family is not within his scope of decision. When niece Claire Newman and her boyfriend Kyle Abbott wanted to buy the apartment from Adam, which was supposed to be a private transaction, Victor suddenly intervened, demanding that Adam absolutely not sell it. This might seem absurd to outsiders, but to Victor, it was the unwritten rule of the Newman family: power must be controlled to the utmost. There was no room for true freedom for anyone, even just an apartment. Adam Newman was now standing between two cliffs. On one side was the desire to be self-determined, to be the master of his own property. On the other side was the irresistible shadow of Victor's authority. Inside him, a fierce resistance erupted. Why couldn't he decide the fate of the apartment he had bought with his own money? But then, like many times before, Adam still had to give in, not only because of family pressure, but also because of long-term calculations in the power struggle at Newman Enterprises. He knew that confronting Victor publicly would be like putting himself in a dead-end situation, especially when Victor was always ready to use any means to achieve his goals. But Victor's request did not stop at controlling the apartment. He continued to push Adam into another task: to use Newman Media to smear Billy Abbott, or as Victor liked to call him, Billy Boy. Using half-true and half-false information, Victor wanted Adam to launch a media campaign aimed directly at Billy, even exaggerating the story that Billy had almost destroyed Chancellor Industries. For Victor, the truth was sometimes less important than the result, as long as he maintained the upper hand and made those who dared to confront him collapse under the pressure of public opinion. But for Adam, this was no longer simply a job, but a struggle of conscience. Deep down, Adam knows that Billy is not as completely at fault as Victor portrays him to be, but he cannot refuse his father's orders, because any resistance would mean being removed from the Newman family's chessboard of power. In the meantime, Chelsea Lawson, the woman once known as the Con for her notorious swindling skills, now appears as an unexpected ally. She used to be Billy's lover, and now, even though they have broken up, Chelsea still has some feelings, or at least compassion, for him. Chelsea's career is on the rise when she was appointed COO of Newman Media, working alongside Adam, but deep down she cannot accept having to smear Billy, the person she once had a deep connection with. Chelsea knows the terrible destructive power of the media, and more than anyone, she understands that once Victor takes action, Billy will no longer have any chance to justify himself to the public. Chelsea tries to convince Adam to stop, or at least not to get involved in this media war that she herself knows is immoral. Chelsea reveals her two sides. On the surface, she is a shrewd businesswoman, a cold and capable manager, always calculating her own gains and losses. But deep inside, Chelsea still retains a soft heart, a woman who is moved by the pain of others, especially those who have passed through her life like Billy. She is torn between her professional responsibility and her conscience, between her loyalty to Newman Media and her understanding of Billy Boy. During the meeting, Chelsea firmly asks Adam to reconsider, to analyze the long-term consequences if he lets Victor control both his work and his emotions. She warns Adam about the spiral she herself fell into, where every deception has a very high price, sometimes honor, sometimes love, sometimes even oneself. But Adam cannot make an easy choice. At Newman Enterprises, anyone who betrays Victor could lose everything, not only their career but also their personal relationships, and even the chance to start over in Genoa City. Adam knows that well, because he has been isolated many times, considered an outsider in his own home. This time, he hesitates, not knowing who to trust: Victor with his absolute authority, Chelsea with her sensitive heart, or himself with his unnamed inner struggles. At the same time, in the dark corner of Genoa City, Billy Abbott, Billy Boy, seems to feel a media storm silently approaching. He knows that Victor has never given up on those who dare to confront him, and even more so, those who dare to try to overcome him. Billy has experienced many failures, many falls, but has also learned to stand up after all, learned to face every attack, even when it comes from the Newman family. Billy understood that this time, Victor would not only aim at his career, but also at his honor, his pride, and everything he had built at Chancellor Industries. Back to Adam, the sleepless nights became longer than ever. He looked back at the past years, where he had to live under control, where every big and small decision had to look at Victor's face, where every personal ambition was always overshadowed by the shadow of Newman Enterprises. Adam was not only afraid of losing his career, but also afraid of losing himself, afraid that one day he would truly become the puppet boy that Victor wanted and Billy had once mocked. The pressure from Chelsea made Adam even more tormented. There were times when he wanted to break all limits, stand up to confront Victor, but he was afraid that the price would be too high. Chelsea's weakness at this moment was a mirror reflecting Adam's own fear, afraid of being caught in a spiral of deception, afraid of losing his human nature just for power and fame. In the media storm, each character has to choose his own path. Victor Newman still calmly stands in the center, coldly observing every change, ready to make new moves to maintain his supreme power. He never admits he is wrong, and does not accept anyone's challenge. Adam, even though he is his son, is no exception. Victor is even more strict with Adam, because he believes that only extreme pressure can forge a truly strong Newman, capable enough to continue the family legacy. But Victor also does not understand that it is this excessive control that unintentionally pushes loved ones away, turning each relationship into an endless battle between freedom and power, between love and fame. And in the middle of that whirlwind, Chelsea, once the con, still tries to hold on to the remaining humanity in her. Even though she had lied and calculated, she still could not ignore Billy's pain, still did not want Adam to fall into the abyss of meaningless power games. Chelsea was no longer the weak girl of the past, but she had never truly become a cold-blooded woman. In the conference room that was lit all night, Chelsea quietly observed Adam, hoping that he would be brave enough to say no to Victor, even though she knew that it could cause everything to collapse. Genoa City, with its skyscrapers and bright lights, still moved constantly to the rapid rhythm of underground wars. Each character carried within them wounds and hidden resentments that could not be expressed. Adam Newman, once again, faced the big choice of his life: continue to be a puppet in Victor's hands, or break the chains to become himself, even though the price to pay was losing everything? And Billy Boy, will he be strong enough to withstand the media storm that was silently approaching? Can Chelsea, with her heart still capable of loving, save Adam from the darkness that Victor has created? Every new day seems to bring new challenges, difficult choices for all those who are living in the cycle of power, ambition, and secrets. In that context, Sally Spectre once again finds herself in a state of isolation, when she wholeheartedly wants to support Billy Abbott, the man she loves, but only receives coldness and avoidance from him. Billy Abbott has recently changed. He has become quieter, more closed, immersed in his own thoughts that no one, including Sally, can reach. Although Sally tries to open up, give ideas, find ways to share the burden, Billy still chooses to ignore. She feels very clearly, every time she gently asks him if there is anything that is bothering him, Billy always forces a smile, shakes his head, denies everything, but his eyes cannot hide the cracks that are getting deeper and deeper in his heart. What makes people most confused is why Sally still patiently stays with Billy, when she could have chosen a different career path, even begging Summer Newman to let her return to work, where Sally was once highly regarded. But perhaps, deep down, Sally still believes that one day, Billy will open his heart, will need her like before. For Sally, love sometimes comes with sacrifice, waiting, even when she herself has to suffer because of the coldness and distance from the other person. However, the current Billy Abbott is being dragged into a tangled vortex of secrets and new wars in the business world and family. The pressures at Abbott Communications and Chancellor Industries are growing, causing Billy to sink deeper and deeper into a state of instability, often doubting the closest people around him. He knows he must hold his ground against the schemes of his opponents, especially Victor Newman, who is constantly trying to put pressure on Chancellor Industries, and is also the father of Summer, the ex-girlfriend with whom Sally once fiercely competed. In this context, any weakness or loss of control can be an opportunity for the opponent to take advantage of. At the same time, the story of Dumas, the mysterious man who is casting a thick fog over Winters and the entire Genoa City business community, continues to heat up. Amanda Sinclair, as a sharp lawyer, is assigned to investigate and solve all the mysteries surrounding Dumas. She meets each related character, Lily Winters, Nate Hastings, and Devon Hamilton, to clarify the motives, actions, and potential risks that Dumas brings to Winters. But Amanda also understood that to untangle all the knots, she had to approach Billy Abbott, who, although not directly related to Winters, played an important role in the overall situation of the Genoa City media and finance industry. When Amanda met Billy, the atmosphere became strangely tense. Billy, immersed in his own problems, did not show any cooperation. He demanded that Amanda answer his questions frankly. Was Dumas really protecting Winters, or just a pawn in a larger power game going on behind the doors of big businesses? Amanda, as Winters' legal guardian, affirmed that Dumas was helping to stabilize the group, but at the same time left open her doubts, because she herself felt that behind those seemingly protective moves was a hidden force calculating its own interests. The conversation between Billy and Amanda quickly turned to broader issues: Dumas's influence not only over Winters, but also over Abbott Communications and Chancellor Industries. Billy had always felt an invisible pressure weighing on both companies. He wanted to know for sure what Amanda, and thus Dumas, had in store for the other companies, if there was a larger conspiracy to control the entire city's economy. Amanda chose to answer carefully, emphasizing that her goal was only to ensure transparency, to protect Winters' core values from any turmoil, but also not denying that Dumas's actions would have a ripple effect on all competitors in the industry. Meanwhile, in another room, Lily Winters and Damian Novak were having a tense discussion about trust. Lily, after so many years of ups and downs, was now very sensitive to sudden changes, especially from newcomers like Damian. Damian tries to convince Lily that he has changed, that he is now a much more realistic and honest person. But Lily still keeps a certain distance, because she knows that every lie, every hidden secret can become a double-edged sword that hurts everyone. Amanda, after meeting Billy and the Winters leaders, continues to have a special conversation with Damian and Holden Novak. The big question is, between Damian and Amanda, who knows Dumas best? Have they known each other before? The appearance of both, each with their own perspective, creates a thick fog about Dumas's motives and purposes in Genoa City. Damian carries the image of a practical, straightforward person, willing to sacrifice for long-term goals, while Amanda is a cautious person, determined to protect legitimate interests but not easily revealing true emotions. Amanda feels that Damian is not like the version of Dumas she approached. In him is intensity, strong intuition, and indomitable vitality. In contrast, Amanda's version of Dumas is a mysterious man, hiding all thoughts, always acting according to a methodical plan, rarely revealing weaknesses. Two images, two different styles, which version is the real one? That question not only haunts Amanda but also makes Genoa City restless.